Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, let me introduce myself. My name is Salsabil Nursatrina. In these presentations, I would like to present my analysis of a research article entitled The Effectiveness of English Songs in Teaching Listening Skills, an experimental study towards the 11th grade students of MAN 1 Sumbawa. This presentation is prepared to fulfill the final examinations academic reading course. The first, there are introductions. English is an international language used for global communications. Therefore, students need to master the four basic language skills: listening, speaking, reading, and writing. Among these skills, listening plays a crucial role because it helps students understand spoken language and supports effective communications. Developing good listening skills is essential for improving overall language proficiency. Next, background. The first, many students have difficulties understanding spoken English. The second, listening is often considered more difficult than reading and writing. And the last is, teachers need interesting learning media to improve students' listening skills. Next, there are problems identified. The first, limited listening practice. Students rarely practice listening activities inside or outside the classroom. The second, fast speech. Native speakers often speak too quickly for students to understand. The third, different accents, different pronunciations make listening more difficult. Next, limited vocabulary. Students do not know many English words, making it difficult to understand spoken text. And then low motivations. Students often feel bored and less interested in listening activities. And the last is uninteresting. And the last, uninteresting learning materials. Conventional materials do not attract students' attentions. Next, literature review listening skills. Listening skill is a process of understanding, interpreting spoken language. Listening is one of the four fundamental language skills. Effective listening support communications and language learning. And the last, students' listening comprehensions is influenced by vocabulary, pronunciations, motivations, and learning activities. Literature review English songs. English songs are considered authentic learning materials. Songs provide natural language input and meaningful listening practice, and then songs help improve listening comprehensions, pronunciations, and student motivations. Next, why English songs? Because English songs is create an enjoyable learning atmosphere. The second, improve students' motivations, and then expose students to authentic English. And the last is to help students practice pronunciations and listening naturally. Next, research objective. The purpose of this study is to investigate whether the use of English songs is effective in improve the listening skill of the 11th grade students at MAN 1 Sumbawa. Next, methodology. The first, quantitative research, collected pre-test and post-test scores to measure students' listening improvement. The second, quasi-experimental design, compared student listening achievement before and after learning with English songs. And the last, experimental and control groups. The experimental class used English songs, while the control class learned through the conventional methods. The result of both classes were them compared. Next, participant. The participant of this study consists of 207 11th grade students. The sample consists of 17 students. The experimental class was Class 11 Key M6 with 35 students, while the control class was Class 11 Key M2 with 35 students. Next, data collections. The first, listening cloze test. The researchers used a listening cloze test as the main instrument to collect the data. In this test, students listened to English songs and completed the missing word in the lyric. This test was used to measure their listening comprehensions. The second, pretest. The pretest was conducted before the treatment. Its purpose was to measure the students' listening ability before using English songs. The third, treatment. After the pretest, experimental group received treatment using English songs, while the control groups learned through the conventional method. Uh, 4. Post-test. The post-test was conducted after the treatment to measure whether the students' listening skills improved. And last, 10 fill in the blank questions based on English songs. The test consists of 10 fill in the blank questions based on English songs. Students had to listen carefully and write the correct missing words. Next, treatment. The first experimental class learned listening through English songs, completed missing lyrics, and answered listening activities. The second, control class, used conventional listening activities and learned through textbook dialogues. Next, control class result. This slide shows the result of the control class. Before the learning process, the students' mean score in the pretest was 36.57. After the learning process, the mean score increased to 74 in the post-test. This result shows that the students' listening scores improved after learning, even though they learned using the conventional method. Next, experimental class result. This slide shows the result of the experimental class before the treatment. The students' mean score in the pretest was 34. After learning through English songs, the mean score increased to 80 in the post-test. This shows that the students achieved higher improvement and their listening scores increased significantly after using English songs. Next, analysis data. The first, normality test. This slide presents the normality test. The purpose of this test was to check whether the data were normally distributed before conducting the statistical analysis. Based on the result, the researcher conclude that the data met the requirements for further statistical testing. Therefore, the hypothesis testing could be continued. The second, homogeneity test. This slide presents the homogeneity test. The purpose of this test was to determine whether the variance of the experimental class and the control class were equal. Based on the result, the data were homogeneous, which means both groups had similar variance. Therefore, the data met the requirements for further statistical analysis. Next, hypothesis testing result. This slide shows the hypothesis testing result. Since the significance value of 0.00 is lower than 0.05, H0 was rejected and HA was accepted. It means that English songs had a significant effect on students' listening skills. Next, discussions. Students became more active. Students enjoy the learning process. Songs increased motivations. Students paid more attention during listening active, and this slide presents the discussions of the study. First, the students became more active during the lesson process because they were more involved in the listening activities. Second, the students enjoy the learning process because learn through English songs was more interesting and less boring. In addition, English songs increased the students' motivations to learn English. As a result, the students paid more attention during listening activities and were able to improve more listening skills. Next, main findings. The first, listening skills improved significantly. Students became more interested in English. English songs create an enjoyable classroom atmosphere, and the last, students were more confident during listening activities. And this slide presents the main findings of study. The findings of the study, the results show that students' listening skill improved significantly after learning through English songs. Besides improving their listening skills, the students also became more interested in learning English. The use of English songs create a more enjoyable classroom atmosphere, making the learning process more engaging. As a result, the students felt more confidence during listening activities and participate more actively in class. Next, conclusions. The study found that English songs are effective for teaching listening skills. Students in the experimental class perform better than those in the class control or control class, indicating that the use of English songs improved their listening achievement. Therefore, English songs can be recommended as an alternative teaching medium for listening activities. Next, implications. Teacher should use authentic material such as song. Songs make listening active more meaningful, and the last, song helps increase students' motivation and participations. Next, recommendations. Teachers are encouraged to integrate English songs into listening lessons. Students should practice listening using English songs outside the classroom. And the last, future researchers can investigate other language skill using songs. That's all for my presentations. Based on this article, it can be concluded that using English songs is an effective to improve students' listening skills, increase their motivations, and create a more enjoyable learning atmosphere. That's all from me. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.